Good evening, everybody. Welcome to some more PSGL action as it's time for the drivers of the F11 tier to take to the track here in Season 28, round number 7 of the Championship, the Canadian Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. I'll be taking you through the action tonight. 35-lap race, but firstly we have the standard 18-minute short qualifying session. And will we see a bit of a change in the Championship standings one more time? Last time out, you might remember, it was the first time that Felix, our championship leader, finished a race and didn't take the victory. He could only finish in 7th position, as it was Dende who took his first win of the season. Josh finishing in 2nd place, and Bonnie's picking up his 2nd successive podium. So Felix still in the lead of the championship on 68 points. Bonnie's now has 49 in the McLaren. Josh on 37. Jay Tyler is on 32 for Mercedes, and Dende moving himself up the order now. He is on 31 points. In the Constructors' Championship, however, it is 96 points for the Red Bull team. Of course, Felix and Dende, 4 wins out of 6 for that team. They are looking very good so far. 59 points for McLaren, 48 for Williams, 44 for Mercedes, 42 for the Haas team. And then further down the order, Renault 37, Racing Point have 32, Ace Phelps and Jonathan for the AlphaTauri team have 16, Warren and Reds for Ferrari have 7, and it's Black Phoenix and Harley for Alfa Romeo at the bottom of the standings at the moment. But still 4 races to go, I should say, including tonight. Still time for things to change, and there are a few penalties that we will talk about as the relevant drivers come into action. But enough of going through what's happened previously. Let's have a look what's happening now. Let's get into some racing action then around this track for a lap of the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and it is going to be Steamer 55 to take us on a lap of the circuit. He heads out in towards turn 1. In fact, he's already invalidated, so maybe let's find someone who's got a bit of a clean run going here. Let's see what Jimmy Allen can do. He was involved in a battle actually with Black Phoenix last week. Phoenix ended up getting a 5-second penalty for that. So let's go on board with Jimmy Allen then, as he takes us on the lap of the Gilles Villeneuve circuit. Moving over towards the left-hand side of the track ever so slightly as we head into turn 1. Not really a long run into the first corner whatsoever around here. Coming through turn 2 for Jimmy Allen, keeping it nice and steady at this moment in time into the Sebastian Vettel chicane. Famous, of course, in 2019 for that 5-second penalty that the Ferrari driver got there through 3 and 4. Flat out through turn 5 into turn 6 and 7. Crucial that you get yourself a good exit as you come through turn 7 onto one of the 3 DRS straights around this circuit into a very tricky chicane, but probably not the trickiest on the track. Turn 8 and 9, very easy to get the car wrong through this part of the circuit. The rear wanting to step out on you ever so slightly. Now heading towards the hairpin. A fantastic overtaking opportunity in the olden days, but now because of DRS, probably won't want to do too much going into that hairpin unless you have already been behind at the detection point. 11 and 12, just flat out corners. Nothing that the drivers really have to worry about whatsoever as they are now heading down towards the famous chicane. Bienvenue de Quebec, it normally says on the exit. The Wall of Champion chicane at 13 and 14. What is it going to be then for Jimmy Allen? 109.599 for him. Jamie has gone fastest then. Jack Tyler goes into 3rd place on a set of the mediums, and that could be something we see quite a lot of during this qualifying session. The medium tyres are a very good tyre around this circuit. It's not like tyre wear is a massive problem around here. It's just that it is such a short circuit. Such a short circuit, obviously, that, well, not just short circuit, short pit lane even. Such a short pit lane, 15-16 seconds pit lane lost time. A 2-stop strategy is a very viable strategy around this circuit, and I think we'll see those that qualify in the top 10 going for a set of soft tyres, soft, medium, medium. If you're outside the top 10, you could probably use 2 sets of softs as well. A lot will depend on what happens with any safety cars. A championship leader then just heading around the hairpin for the first time, seeing that horrific accident for Robert Kubica in 2007, who of course went on to win this race later on, well, just 12 months later on, taking a victory in this race. What's it going to be now for Felix on his first flying run of the session? Looking pretty good at this moment in time into this final chicane. Watch out that you don't cut too much of that curb on the right hand side. Get as close to that wall as possible. Open up the DRS, and what's it going to be? 108.458 puts him into 3rd position for now. Stibber, Josh and Felix, your top 3 at the moment. Luke and Davey are just in behind. A few drivers invalidated, and we said that is something you are going to see quite a lot of around this track. James then just heading back to the pits. I feel with it being such a short track, you can get multiple runs in. I don't think we'll be seeing too many people attempt multiple runs on the same tyre, even though the man who is fastest at the moment has gone for that as Stever, and I think in doing so, he's probably nearly ran himself out of fuel, so he's got a bit of a trek back down this long straight. 2 DRS zones from the one detection point that it comes in just before turn 10, so even if you don't get moved on into the final chicane, or even if you do get the move done, you are going to have the DRS to either help you attack or defend that position back into turn 1, which can prove to be quite useful indeed. But the third of the qualifying session gone. Steber, Josh, Felix, your top 3 at the moment. Top 13 drivers separated by a second. So he's just heading his way back into the pits. We'll see if there is anyone on another hot lap at the moment. Most of the drivers do seem to have found their way back into pits. Jonathan is currently 15th. Ace Phelps, he's heading out on an outlap on this occasion. So see what he can do for the AlphaTauri team. Currently not doing the best job in the Constructors' Championship. They are in 8th position, and Ace Phelps has got 15 of the 16 points that the Italian team have got. Best finish of 4th in the Belgian Grand Prix was 5th last time out in France. Teammate Jonathan only with the 1 point so far, and that came at Singapore. Both struggling at the bottom of the order though in this session. Ace, Specialist and James all failing to set themselves a clean time, and that is going to be a common theme of this session. You will see a lot of invalidations, and in the race you are going to see an absolute ton of track limit penalties. Would not surprise me. I've seen it happen multiple times around here where every driver manages to pick up a track limits penalty, so don't be too surprised if we get multiple getting one around this circuit. So let's see how this goes. Ace Phelps coming around turn 2 at the moment, looking nice and tidy into 3 and 4 downhill braking zone. We've said before it is an extremely tricky part of the track. Turn 5 where Brendan Hartley and Lance Stroll had that very strange accident in 2018 on lap 1 where they almost got locked together halfway around the corner. Thankfully the halo was there, although the New Zealand driver did actually end up injuring himself on the halo, hit his head that hard on the head protection device. Phelps taking it very steady through 8 and 9, can't blame him for doing that. Josh has retired from the session then, so let's see if we can go on board with that. That is coming out of turn 2, he's just lit up the rear tyres. The man currently second in qualifying then, out of the session, so expect him to drop further down the order. That was a very good lap from him, but expect to possibly see it beaten. Stiggy and Jay Tyler, Jack, both of the medium tyre runners, both of the Mercedes, they'll be feeling fairly good at this moment in time. What can Ace Phelps do then as he comes around the final corner then in the AlphaTauri? What's it going to be from Phelps? Is this going to put him further up the order? Moves him ahead of his teammate only into 15th place. Didn't look as though he was pushing 100% through a few corners on that lap. Took it very easily into the chicanes, probably just to make sure that you do get yourself a valid lap time. Of course, on board with Tyler then using the medium tyres early on in the session did Jack, so we should see an improvement here. Already 3 tenths up, he's got Felix ahead of him, who will have to get well out of the way to obviously avoid giving a tow to another driver. I said I was going to go through the penalties as well that some of the drivers have got. Black Phoenix isn't here tonight, but he has got a 5-second time penalty the next time he comes here. And Warren Haig, another driver who isn't here tonight, has also got a 10-second time penalty. So the drivers for the Ferrari team, both with penalties, both not here on this occasion. Jack would have been a good enough lap to put him up into 5th place. Just got it wrong through that final chicane, and you do that, it invalidates your next lap as well. The worst part on the circuit, to get it wrong into the final corner. The Wall of Champions doesn't claim a victim, but that chicane definitely has done on this occasion. Storm, he's improving slightly, 2.5 tenths up, 1/4 of a second as he comes into the final part now. Turn 11 and 12, just little kinks. Don't need to worry about them in the dry. Turn 12, you don't need to worry about in the wet. Turn 11 can just be a bit trickier in the wet if you just light up the tyres and take the wrong angle. And if you light up the tyres coming through the final chicane, that is what's going to happen to you. Get yourself on the curb. Storm very lucky to be able to even carry on in this session, but that's the second car we've seen spinning in this qualifying. And Storm then in 13th position at the moment with a broken foot wing. Still plenty of time though to set another lap, of course. Steber, he's backed off on this lap, so looks as though he's gone for a second run on a set of the soft tyres. Looks as though he's gone for a sort of a prep lap, like we were seeing at the Portimao race last time around before a proper outlap. And even though it is two-stop, we mentioned this earlier, it's not two-stop because of degradation. It's more two-stop just because of how easy it is to get the tyres to last around this circuit. And the pit stop advantage. If you can do two stops, you cut off the final chicane, you cut off turn 1, you come out onto the apex pretty much of turn 2. And that is something the drivers have been warned about in the stewards' briefings before the race. Just to be careful with how they take that corner coming through turn 2, especially when exiting the pit lane, to make sure that they don't cause any issues. Stieber then has invalidated this lap, so he will not be improving whatsoever. Felix, he's gone fastest though, 108.181 for the championship leader, who will be leading the championship no matter what happens at the end of tonight. Has a 19-point lead, and a victory tonight would be a big step. Vic wins tonight, even if Vonis, who again is another driver who is not here, so well, Vonis is here, so he is in 12th place. Even if Vonis finishes second place and with the fastest lap, Felix is going to be at least 22 points ahead if he wins tonight. And with 3 races to go, that is a huge, huge margin. Aero Specialist locking up into the hairpin there. Went a bit deep, but you can probably straighten the car up and get on the power a bit straighter. So give yourself a bit better traction there. We'll see whether that does cost him any time whatsoever. Only man not to set a time at the moment, Felix Stieber, Josh, Davey and Jack, top 5 drivers at the moment. And another victim of the final chicane. Spins up, just cuts the curb too much, and that is him down in 18th place at the moment. And as it was through the final chicane, he's going to have to get into the pits quickly and try and get himself onto another set of fresher tyres. Luke, he's invalidated his lap earlier on, saving plenty of ERS, so he will be going for it again, I can assure you. I say as he comes straight into the pits, so yeah, it turns out I don't actually know what I'm on about there. Luke, I thought he'd saved plenty of ERS, so I thought he was going to maybe consider going for another lap, but no, decides heading back to the pits. Not worth going for it on the on that same set of tyres. Then the winner last time around, 0.3 of a second up as he comes through sector 1. Misses that curb. Don't want to be hitting those inside curbs on chicanes, as this track, as you've seen on so many other tracks, really does kill the traction of the Formula 1 cars on this game. Can afford to take a bit more coming through 8 and 9, but you have to be careful. Turn 8, you think it's a much easier corner than it is, and if you go deep and that can cost you time into 9, can easily send yourself flying over the chicane. Then coming into the final sector now. He's about half a second up on his personal best, so depending on how much he backed off in the final sector, this could easily see him challenging Jack and Luke for that 3rd row of the grid at this moment in time. Last week's race winner at the French Grand Prix. Not an ideal line through the final corner whatsoever. That's probably cost him a bit of time. In the end, not actually too much. Just go up into 5th place, about 3.5 tenths behind his teammate with 5 minutes to go. We've got 2 Red Bulls bookending the top 5 at this moment in time. Stiggy, interested to see how he's going to do on his lap. On the medium tyres, he was very quick indeed, almost top 10 worthy for Stiggy. Currently 11th in the championship. A podium in race 1 at Bahrain Short. And if you do want to see some more Bahrain Short action, the PC League is on now with George Morgan and Jack Canane. 9th in Singapore for this man. 3rd in Bahrain Short, as we said. No points since then, and another invalidation. Well, this is interesting. That line was very interesting through the hairpin, I can tell you that. That was a bit over-optimistic with the grip on these medium tyres. Jimmy Allen had gone for a set of the mediums, and I think there was definitely a bit of Racing Point end plate being left. You can just see that damage there on the left-hand side, so he's going to have to streak it straight back into the pits. Jimmy Allen down in 16th place at this moment in time, hoping for a first podium since the Austrian Grand Prix. Didn't score any points last time out, but it is incredibly close. If you sort of go away for the top 2 in the championship, 3rd to 8th at the moment, 9 points between Josh in 3rd and Jimmy in 8th position, so a lot can sort of change in that midfield section. Let's see what the Renault, though, of Stieber is doing at the moment. Was fastest after the first ones. This could well be his final run in this qualifying session. Through the chicane now of 3 and 4. Look nice and tidy through there. Didn't see anything too out of the ordinary. 17 thousandths down on his personal best, though. Just takes the curb ever so slightly. And I said earlier on, if you hit that curb, it disturbs the traction of your car. Happened a bit later there, so I'm not sure whether that was for curb or just a bit too trigger happy on the on the rear tyres as he very nearly wipes out his wheel trying to recover from that situation. So his qualifying being such a short track, he probably can get around again and get another set of soft tyres on if he so wishes to. You are allowed all assists, of course, that are allowed by PSGL in this league. So racing line, ABS and traction control are on. Any other assists such as pit, fuel, DRS, braking, they are all disabled. Stieber definitely looking as though he was running without any traction control through that corner into 6 and 7, just costing him in the end, losing his front wing. I'm sure he'll be back out very shortly to try and set himself another lap time. We are seeing some more heading off. Jamie was fast earlier on, first man to set a time, as you can see by the fastest lap at the bottom of the order. That lap's still good enough to get himself into 10th place at the moment, nearly 2 tenths up. As he comes through sector 1, you're going to want to be higher up in the top 10. DRS trains very potent around this circuit. If you want to set a medium tyres just outside the top 10, you're laughing. You can hang on to these leaders and you will be looking good for the race. So drivers like Harley, Stiggy, Vonnis, they probably won't be too devastated about starting just outside the top 10 to get themselves a fresh set of mediums or softs. 2 tenths up now for Jamie. Finds a bit of an improvement in this final sector. Could challenge Luke in the Alfa Romeo. His teammate Josh still in 3rd place at the moment despite retiring earlier on. If you're just joining us, the Haas driver crashing out coming through turn 2, just a bit happy on the exit of the corner with the throttle. Jamie nice and steady through the wall of champions, not taking too much risk. This looks like a good lap from the Haas driver, and he does move in between Jack and Luke into 7th place at this moment in time. We're really heading towards the business end of this session. Aero Specialist gets his first one into 7th place there. We now see Jack all of a sudden 108.011, nearly into the 107s here in F11. So good lap there by Jack to set a 108. Who else is on a hot lap and nearing the exit of the corner? Jonathan, he seems to be improving. I don't think this is going to move him a long way up the order though. No, 16th position. Surprised he went over to the left hand side of the track there. Says to me he was attempting another lap. Normally if you're not thinking about doing another lap, you just keep it straight coming out of the final corner. We've got a McLaren heading through now. That's just Vonnis starting up a lap. Davey starting up an out lap as well. So Jimmy Allen's going to be the next driver to head towards the finish line. Was in F11 last season. I think he was in F12 for the start of this season as well before being promoted back up to F11. Of course, last season F11 was the bottom tier. Now we've got an extra 12th tier here at PSGL. And Jimmy goes into 14th position for now. Storm, he comes through the final corner. He's about half a second up at this moment. This could get him into the top 10. Does indeed. Goes up into 9th place. One of the Red Bulls heading around now. Felix a 10th up on his personal best. If he nails this final chicane, this could be good enough to put the Red Bull driver onto provisional pole position. Full commitment through there. Bit of a wobble. Bit of grass being kicked up on the exit from the Red Bull. What time is it going to be? 108.032. Not quite good enough. Checkered flag then is out in this session. Jack's happy with the time that he's done. His teammate Stiggy in 3rd place at the moment. So Mercedes looking a bit like real life, looking very good all of a sudden here. Jonathan has invalidated his lap. Vonnis, the man second in the championship, needs to be higher than what he is doing at this moment in time. 16th, not ideal whatsoever, even if you are planning that alternate strategy. Gets himself up into 12th place, so he's going to have to try something slightly different in the race. James, he's retired in the pits. Ace Phelps gets it wrong through the final corner, so no improvements from him. He'll be staying down in 18th. It's going to be Riker, the next man to head towards the finish line. 108.818 for him at the moment, about half a second off of what his teammate has done in the Renault, about 8 tenths off of pole position. Is this going to be an improvement from the Renault driver as he's got the DRS open now towards the finish line? Goes up into 11th. That's second prize almost from him. Dende won't be able to improve. Last week's winner starts in 7th position. Harvey gets himself up just behind his teammate into 13th. There's a Red Bull. I think that's Felix wiping off all sorts in the background. Aero wiping off a bit more of his car. So it is pole position then for Jack Tyler 46. Doing a bit better than his number sake in MotoGP. I think it's fair to say that. But Jack will be on pole. Championship leader Felix in 2nd position with his championship rival Vonnis 12 places behind him. This could be very interesting and could be a big step towards Felix to help him secure that championship over the next few rounds. But here are the grid then. Jack on pole position, Felix 2nd, Stiggy making it a 1-3 for Mercedes with Red Bull in 2nd. Where have we seen that before? Stieber 4th in the Renault, Josh 5th place despite invalidating that lap time. Will be interesting to see what he can do on the race. He would have expected a bit more time for him if he hadn't have got it wrong and crashed out. Davey is 6th. Dende, our winner from last time out, is in 7th place. Aero Specialist 8th. Storm in 9th. Jamie rounding out the top 10. Riker with the bonus prize, with 11th place, with the alternate strategy. Pole position. Fresh set of softs or mediums. That is the choice we'll be expecting him to be going on, depending on if there is any weather. Then Luke, Harvey, Vonnies, James Dovey, Jimmy Allen, Jonathan and Ace Phelps, AlphaTauri drivers, both at the back of the grid for this race. Was a very close qualifying session then. In the end, towards the top of the order, Jay Tyler, Jack doing a very good job indeed in that Mercedes to get himself on pole position, and we'll have to see what he can do. I can exclusively tell you, as we'll just quickly go back to what the race looks like. There is the weather, ladies and gentlemen. We have got rain here at the Canadian Grand Prix circuit. 2011 flashbacks maybe. Jenson Button famously winning that race from the back of the grid in absolutely horrific conditions. 4 hours that race took. Hopefully this one doesn't take 4 hours. I'm sure plenty of us have got school and work that we needed to be heading to in the morning, so hopefully we won't be seeing anything like that length. But this may explain some of the different strategies from the drivers. Has anyone decided to put a bit more downforce on to maybe have better grip in these conditions? The rears do take a bit more of a hammering around here than the front tyres, just because of all the traction zones that you can see, especially coming through the first couple of corners out of the hairpin at turn 10 and that infamous wall of champion chicane. Plenty of tricky corners then around this Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. First used in Formula 1 quite a while ago. First used then in 1978. Not much has changed then over the 4.361 kilometres, 2.710 miles, 3 DRS zones, obviously none in this weather. And there you can see the 14 corners that everyone will be having to go round, as we'll have a look at the tyre situation. Normally, it's a bit of a gamble to see what tyres everyone's on. There's not much of a gamble now. Intermediates all the way. We don't know how long this is going to last. But if it stops raining round about lap... If it stops raining after the first top 10 laps, you'll probably see drivers trying to stretch out a set of mediums towards the end of the race. That's to say it is going to stop raining. Doesn't look too heavy out on circuit at the moment. Not really too much standing water. A few shallow puddles out on the circuit, but I'm sure as the drivers start running around, you will get that racing line appearing that will make it dry. And if anything, that just sort of ruins the action in these conditions. One dry line, everyone's just sort of following the train tracks of the leader, makes it fairly difficult to overtake. But don't be surprised if you see a few cars spinning around in the first few laps. If we do get intermediates all the way, it will probably just be a fairly straightforward one-stop race. And in these conditions, I wouldn't be too surprised if we see at least a VSC, if not a full virtual safety car. Ideal qualifying though for the Mercedes team. Still 4th in the Constructors' Championship at this moment in time on 44 points for them. Didn't score many points last time out. In fact, only 10 points in the last 4 races. It's a fantastic start of the season. That's why they've got to 4th. That's why Red Bull have now got a 52-point gap to them. And it's a fantastic chance for Jack and Stiggy to work their way up the order. 16 for a win, of course. 12, 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 1 for the fastest lap if you're in the top 10. So 29 points, the most that any team can get. Davey and Dende have invalidated their qualifying laps, so they're going to be starting from the back. Well, they're going to be starting from 6th and 7th, I should say, but of course with a bit colder tyres than everyone else. Intermediates run a bit cooler anyway, so might not affect you too much as we wait for the final car to get into the position and we wait for this race to get underway. What can the AlphaTauris do then from 17th and 18th on the grid? Wait for the lights to come on here. The standings do what the standings do in the opening stages of this race, as we have now got the lights coming on. 5 lights here at Canada. We are underway for the Canadian Grand Prix. What are the starts like? It seems like a bit of a slow start there from Jack, struggling to get any traction, so Felix is going to go all the way around the outside into turn 1. Bit of wing damage there from one of the Williams. I think that is going to be Davey missing part of his front wing early on as it all just concertinaed up. But a fantastic start from Felix in the lead of this race. Jack could be losing into third place here, but he just manages to stay ahead of Stieber, struggling with a lot of understeer on that car, almost like he didn't get the fronts heated up at all on that first lap of the race. But it is Felix leading, Jack in second place, Stieber in third. We can now take a quick look at the position changes. Riker doing a fantastic job. That advantage of starting in 11th place obviously ruined, but he's now going to work his way further up the order past Davey, who has got front wing damage, so he'll be a surefire driver to come into the pits on this lap, as both Mercedes have lost positions. The two Alfa Romeos trying to swap back position, both having to cut the corner at turn 8 and 9 there, and Luke just giving Harvey the position back there. A legal overtake, I'm sure the game will have given him for all that. And you can see, even in these intermediate conditions, there is quite a lot of spray when you go on board with the drivers. They are having to cope with some pretty treacherous conditions at this moment in time. Yellow flag, and that is Josh. The Haas driver started high up the grid. He's got front wing damage. Jack's already got a 3-second time penalty as he heads through the first chicane for the first time around. And we have got there Dende coming into the pits. Davey coming in as well. So last week's race winner also with front wing damage. They're going to drop a long way down the order. All sorts of battling going on in the background. Vonnies and Jimmy Allen racing for 11th position at the moment. But in the lead of this race, Felix absolutely flying away 2 seconds ahead of Jack, who does seem to have heated his tyres up now, but seems to be having trouble keeping it on the island all of a sudden. Stieber in third. Stiggy is in 4th position. Aero Specialist, the only man to still be where he started at the moment on that set of intermediate tyres, as Harley tries to send it up the inside of Aero. That was a bit of an optimistic move from the Alfa Romeo driver. No DRS until lap 3 anyway in normal conditions, and these are anything but normal conditions as Harvey thinks about a move there. Jimmy Allen though decides, well, one Alfa Romeo can't make the overtake stick, another one might be getting overtaken here. Luke having to hop over the curb there. To be fair, Jimmy did the same, so I'm not really sure that pass would have stuck, and Vonnies might be in a fantastic position to take advantage of at least one of them here. You can see Harley just working his way past Aero Specialist further up the order, but pretty much not a lot changing there. Aero and Harley still battling over 8th and 9th position. Extremely hard fighting in the first few laps of this race, I must say, from the F11 drivers, as Jamie joins Jack on a time penalty at this moment in time. Storm really struggling. He's got front wing damage, I think, on that racing point. Harley has got that position. Aero Specialist is going to try and have a chance as well, but not able to do so. But you just saw a glimpse there, as we can see from the aerial shot on that racing point. Front left end plate missing, losing a lot of damage in these conditions, less than ideal. He is going to be really struggling. James comes into the pits as well. Both Williams having to pit early on onto a set of the intermediates as Aero round in the McLaren at turn 3. Resets to track there. I'm not sure that is allowed, if I'm being perfectly honest. Jimmy Allen gets himself a bit of damage as well, I think, on the back of Aero. So unlucky for him, but that's now both racing points with wing damage. So if they both decide to come in this lap, they're going to have to face the double stack. That is the last thing you want to be doing around this track, around any track really, on the F1 game. So we might see Luke moving up the order past both of these soon. Alfa Romeos started a bit further down the order, to be honest, in 13th and 12th position for them. For Harley started 13th, Luke started in 12th position. They might well find themselves both in the top 8 all of a sudden. It's been a fairly good start to the race from the Alfa Romeos. As you can see, the two racing points just battling up ahead. Please don't make any contact, lads, in these conditions. Please don't defend too hard either. If you've got yourself a broken front wing, I'm not sure there was space there, as they both decided to just stay out on circuit. The fact that they're fighting so long has now Jimmy broken a bit more front wing. I think he's definitely going to have to come in this lap. No way is he surviving the rest of this stint with that much front wing damage, as Aero works his way back ahead of Jonathan. These two, the last of the cars that haven't pitted. Dende, Davey, James and Josh all with damage early on. That is Aero up into 13th place. So plenty of action at the bottom of the order. Towards the top of the order, we might get some action soon as well. Felix had a fantastic first couple of laps to this race. All of a sudden though, Jack and Stieber just starting to reel him in. That gap now within a second. Vonnies gets past Storm as Harley gets himself a 3-second time penalty. Now as well, I think all those drivers that currently have penalties, you can see there, all currently on 3 seconds. Stieber right on the back of Tyler here. That red light flashing anyway, of course, in the veins. Oh, Jack. That, I'm afraid, is not on, my friend. That is a big accident. That is a safety car. Drivers coming in. Big damage, obviously, for him. Double stack for the Mercedes. Both with front wing damage. And I think we will almost certainly be seeing that one go to the stewards. Drive-through penalty for James for speeding under the safety car. He's got front wing damage as well. Stieber out of the race. He was looking pretty good. He had a lot of pace there. And I think, looking at it from first shot, I do not think he was left enough space whatsoever from the Mercedes driver. We'll have to see. We'll have to see if there is any repercussions from that. But I would not be surprised to see that one going to the stewards whatsoever. Then that's led a few drivers to come in, fix their damage, come into the pits, change for some fresh tyres if they feel the need to do so, of course. But I do just think most of these are fixing damage. So suggests we're not going to be seeing the race stop, at least while this safety car is due out. So Felix maintains the lead of this race behind the AMG safety car. Wonder if we'll be seeing the two different safety cars, of course, on F1 2021. Riker, Harley, Luke, Jamie, Bonnies, Tyler, Phelps and Jonathan. Drivers who didn't pit at all in this race. Davey, who pitted earlier on, now finds himself in 10th position. There's all sorts of chaos, I think, happening further down the order. James and Josh just making themselves out of the pits then. You can see how tricky it is once you get onto the wetter part. Now there's been a lot of drivers coming out of the pits, but it's still obviously a lot drier on the racing line than it is at that part of the circuit. You can just see from this onboard the different shades. Once you go off that racing line, there is not a lot of grip. Not a lot of grip for these people whatsoever, and they're having to fight pretty hard just to keep hold of the car, by the looks of things. So that's not going exactly as they planned for them. But lap 6 of this race, Felix in the lead, Riker, Harley and Luke. I think the safety car will be coming in on this lap. Ooh, Felix, what are you doing there? Just trying to warm up those rear tyres as we went on board with him there, losing control of the back of the car, similar to what we saw Max Verstappen do, and he's actually got damage. Has our race leader picked up... Now, wasn't in that incident, because that was the left-hand side of the wall, so has he picked up damage earlier on in the race? Is that why he was being caught up by the Mercedes of Jack, by the Renault of Stieber, who unfortunately for him won't be doing any catching up in this race? Just squeezed into the wall slightly by Jack on that run down towards the wall of Champion Chicane, damaging both of their cars with fatal damage for Stieber and putting him out of the race. We're still waiting for some drivers to catch up to the back of the pack here. Dende, Storm, James and Josh. So by the looks of things, we are going to be getting another lap of safety car action, and this is something I want removed from F1 2021, if I'm being honest. Just once it's cleared up, run a few laps under the safety car, don't bunch the pack together. Just let's get the racing. You know, let's get them back under the way. If they've not caught up to the pack in 3 laps, tough. Like, I've been in that situation before, and we can't keep the safety car going on forever, but we are going to get an extra lap then. This is good news for everyone if they're wanting to save these tyres. Good news for us maybe getting a change of weather conditions in this race, whenever that will come. I'm not quite sure at the moment when we will get a change of weather conditions, but Felix, Riker, they've not got any penalties. If you have got a penalty, these safety cars are even worse period news for you, because you've got a lot longer that you're going to have to wait to try and get rid of that penalty. So Harley, Jamie, Jack on the fresher tyres. Now, they're quite high up the order with those fresher tyres. Jamie's actually jumped up quite a bit in this safety car period, now in 5th place on a fresher set of the intermediates. Don't expect him to have too much of a tyre advantage, but he will have a slight one, especially once we reach that crossover period. Again, we don't know what weather's going to be like either side of the crossover period, but we'll have to wait and see. But Jamie, you won't be feeling too bad at the moment, I don't think. Might be one to watch after the safety cars, the Alfa Romeos. They've been a fantastic first few laps of this race. They've kept it clean. They've made some overtakes before we saw the safety car. Because they've kept it clean, they haven't had to bit for damage. They've gained even more places. Now we've got Harley in 3rd and Luke in 4th position. So safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, and it'll all be up to Felix. Now, not so long ago, you were allowed to overtake before the first safety car line. As you're not allowed to overtake before the finish line, it's a fairly easy restart for the drivers here. It's just making sure that you don't get a bit greedy and go too early and catch the safety car up, which will slow you down, and then you'll have a Mugello 2020 repeat on your hands, and you will get in trouble with the stewards for causing that. And to make sure that you don't go a bit too hot into that final chicane and just get it wrong, cut the corner, cause yourself damage, because if you cause a yellow flag, everyone else will be able to overtake you. And there we go, Felix has gone away. Seems like a fairly good restart from the race leader then. So championship leader getting us underway, still with that front wing damage. There's some changes further down the order. I think Storm, he's been caught out under the safety car, and he's got some front wing damage already before we've even got towards that part of the circuit. So he's coming into the pits, and James is in as well. Did they make contact? I know James already had that damage, so I'm not sure whether the two of them did make contact. But Felix in the lead of this race then from Riker. Harley in second. Luke all over the back of his teammate at the moment, and Jamie, as we said he would do, starting to put that pressure on the intermediate tyres at this moment in time. All the way around the outside at 5 was going to be a very brave move, as Luke looks half-hearted at trying to get past his teammate, and that's just opened the door for the Haas driver of Jamie to get ahead. Fantastic opportunism from the Haas driver. He's now up into 4th place, a bit like restart 1. Well, start number 1, I should say, at the start of this race. Felix has just absolutely escaped. 2.2 seconds his lead of this race, but Jamie looking very racy in behind. Jimmy picks up a 3-second time penalty, and I think we could see a swap between the Alfa Romeo and the Haas for 2 Ferrari customer teams battling. Bit of wing bashing there as Jamie attempted the cutbacks and not able to do anything on this occasion. Still got all of his front wing intact. It looks like he may have a tiny bit of damage that we can't see, of course, but at the lead of this race, Felix with a 1.8 second lead over Riker as we head on to lap number 9 of this race. Riker himself is a second ahead of Harley, so it's not like it's been a bad restart from the Renault driver. Jamie can't quite get ahead of Harley. Sticky overtaking David on them pressure tyres, so getting the Mercedes back into the points to crash with Jack. And obviously that double stack has really not worked out whatsoever, as Josh sets the fastest lap of the race. Storm, oh hello, this is something we've not noticed. Storm's put on a set of softs. It's definitely not raining. It definitely ain't dry. You can just see a bit of spray still coming off those front tyres. We're probably not too far off, to be honest, but we're definitely not in dry conditions. So he's gone for a set of the soft tyres. James going for a set of mediums. I think they will both have to come into the pits again for the opposite tyre. So James for the softs, Storm for a set of the mediums. But we are seeing some different strategies coming into play here. This is going to be very interesting indeed. We'll just see if they do catch up to any of the cars up ahead of him. Tech winning the F12 championship. For anyone that, well, I think he's winning the championship now. He's definitely won the last F12 race. So good evening anyone that is joining us from the F12 stream. And, oh, that is the problem. Going for the slick tyres. James in the wall. If that's a safety car, thank goodness for ghosting. If that is a safety car or a VSC, we're going to be seeing everyone coming into the pits. And I think now they're going to come in anyway. Felix may be seeing that crash into the pits. He comes. Riker stays on another lap. We've got a virtual safety car. Now's the time to come in. Put a set of dry tyres on. You'll gain yourself 4 or 5 seconds, especially if you've got some damage here. I think it's dry enough. All of a sudden, they're going slow, so you're not going to be seeing a lot of spray anyway in these conditions, but I think now's the time. Put on a set of the mediums or the soft tyres and then go for whichever one you want. Personally, I'd be thinking the soft just while the track's building up to temperature. Normally, I like having the softer tyre at the end of the race, but I think you saw Storm didn't spin on those softs. Quite a few of us, well, James, the only other driver we've seen on the mediums, did take a spin. It looks like a lot of the field are going for the medium tyres though, but virtual safety car conditions. Felix for lead car on a set of the dry tyres. Phelps jumps him up into a net second. Storm gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he becomes our 3rd retirement from the race. So we are down to just 15th runners here. It's Riker in the lead of this race on a set of intermediates that are just going to be burning up. Get another yellow flag, and there we go. DRS enabled. Yellow flag just... Oh, Jamie. That's an optimistic move into the hairpin. I don't think Harley is going to be too happy about that, and neither of the Alfa Romeos have come into the pits, so this is a crucial battle between them. One of them is going to be losing out here, and at the moment it looks like it's going to be Luke as they come into the pit lane here. Storm leads the session. Don't get it wrong on the way into the pit. You can tell they're fighting because they want to be the car that is ahead here. Harley just gets ahead of his teammate. Now Luke's got Harley's got front wing damage, and he's going to hold his teammate up in the double stack. Luke's going to be at the back of the order after this pit stops here, but everyone has come into the pits. We're seeing a few more time penalties, and it is Felix leading this race. Phelps in second, Stiggy in third. We said that was the right lap. Felix saying he feels so lucky with a safety car and feels bad for Jay Tyler. We might actually try and get some of our drivers in for some post-race interviews at the end of this race in Discord if they're up for it, because I feel like there's going to be plenty of drama to talk about in this race. But Felix in the lead. Phelps though started a long way down the order. Let's not forget, started in last position. He's on a set of soft tyres. He needs to make hay while the sun shines and try and get himself past the championship leader and build a bit of a gap at this moment in time, because he's going to have to go on a set of mediums at the end. Jonathan goes for the hard tyres, won't have to pit again. But you don't like using the hards around Canada because of such a short pit lane. Only a pit stop loss of about 16 seconds. It's going to cost yourself a lot as Harley. And did Harley end up behind Luke then in the pits? I'm sure he just got in ahead of him, but that seems to have changed. So Harley's actually ahead. Jimmy Allen now using the DRS. That is of course enabled, so he works his way past Luke, and it looks like Josh might be tempting it as well down the inside into the chicane. A few more penalties pop up the order there, and Josh works his way up a position. Aero down the inside of Dave. I'm not sure there was a lot of space there to go for that move, as Josh and Jimmy are now battling. The Haas driver had that spin early on, but he's looking very good indeed now. Gets himself up into 6th place. There's all sorts of action going on here. 3 DRS zones, let's not forget, so could see a few moves maybe into this next part of the circuit as we go back on board then with Aero Specialist. Ace Phelps has taken the lead. He's just got to gun his way ahead, so he's not close enough, pardon me. Luke all over the back of Jimmy Allen then. Both of these drivers with a DRS. Jimmy just hanging on to the back of Josh. Taking quite a lot of curb as well. That is very brave in these conditions. It'll still be barely damp on those curbs. Dende all over the back of Vonnis. Last week's race winner down the inside completely. Gets it wrong. Hits Luke there. Vonnis ends up spinning in all of that. Oh, I think that might be another one that the stewards are going to have to take a look at. Dende, first time he's really gone in, I think, in anger in that braking zone in fully dry conditions. Gets it completely wrong. Front wing damage. He's going to be heading a long way down the order. Aero gets past Davey. Riker comes into the pits. Did he pick up damage in all of that? Wasn't looking too bad after the first safety car, but the virtual safety car did cause all sorts of problems for him, and he's now put on a set of hard tyres to get him towards the end of the race. Let's go on board though with the lead battle. Ace Phelps and Stiggy with penalties. Felix in the middle without any and on a medium, so he'll just be quite happy hanging on the back of this AlphaTauri driver for the next few laps really. I think now that Stiggy's got ahead, he might think about trying to make a move further up the order. Don't want to stay behind him for too long, of course. Don't want to end up losing out in any way, shape or form. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, and that is Luke coming out of turn number 9, the 8-9 chicane, claiming another victim. Luke drops a long way down the order. Stiggy very fast here. It's almost like Felix isn't losing a lot of ERS here, so maybe Stiggy down the inside into the chicane. I think if Ace Phelps weren't there, he'd have comfortably got that move done, but the AlphaTauri driver was there, and in the end Stiggy picks up a 3-second time penalty. I think we were expecting this around Canada. I was definitely expecting it in these conditions. Jack into the pits, another front wing change. They're having to go on the hard tyres. They are less than ideal whatsoever. On the hards, you're going to struggle to get any points. You're going to struggle to get any points whatsoever. Stiggy then and Felix battling, and Felix gets that position. I think Stiggy let him past on purpose, but he's just given the Red Bull the DRS. That's not worked out quite to plan for him. Has Stiggy got any front wing damage? I can't see any. The sun is out then here at Canada. 22 more laps to go. Ace Phelps in the lead of this race. That battling has worked out perfectly for him. He can now use his soft tyres. Oh, goes very deep into the hairpin there. I imagine he'll be coming in around about lap 20. And if he pitted now, he'd probably come out in around 10th, 11th place. Probably fairly close to where Luke is at this moment in time. Still, though, a long way to go, and being on those mediums at the end of the race might just cost him ever so slightly, while some of those behind him are on the quicker soft tyres. Are there going to be any battles further down the field? Then Harley all over the back of Jamie. Haas versus Alfa Romeo. The battle resumes from earlier on. Then down the inside goes Harley, bumps Jamie almost over the curb there. To be fair, he was all the way alongside on the way into the corner, so I think he was entitled to the space. It's a very difficult corner to overtake. Personally, I'd prefer just trying to stay if you can stick close enough behind and having to go into turn one. It's fairly easier to overtake there as Denday comes into the pits. That is his hard tyres on. Another front wing change. He mustn't have come in on that first lap straight after the incident then. Tried to carry on. He now drops a long way down the order. Has been a scrappy F11 race, this one, I think it's fair to say, but these drivers just keeping it clean at the front. This front group of three, 2.5 seconds ahead of Aero Specialist at this moment in time, and the McLaren driver having a very good race all of a sudden. He's had 10 points so far this season, a 6th in Bahrain, a 6th in Belgium. These stay as they are. He's on for a 5th place, even when you consider the penalties. He could be on for by far his best result ever here, and I'm sure there's a bit more action to happen. There we go. Phelps gets it completely wrong out of the final chicane. That gives Felix for leading this race. I don't think he's going to have it for very long, though, because Stiggy down the inside into turn one. Can't quite get far enough alongside to take that position. Has to stay just behind. There we go. Stiggy then. 3-second time penalty. So, that's bad news for him. I think that puts him up to 6 seconds then. We'll check the penalties at 9. Well, that is really bad for him. 9 seconds for him, 9 for Jimmy and Jamie and Luke as well. Jonathan has 8. He'll get 5 of those removed, I should say, if he comes into the pits again. 6 for Aero, 6 for Harley, 6 for Jay Tyler, 3 for Riker and Ace Phelps. But it's just looking fantastically good. Our championship leader. Everything is just falling into place for him at the moment. Vonnies, the man behind him in the championship, is in 10th and has also kept it clean. Josh is in 5th and has also kept it clean, but they're not scoring the big points at the moment. Jack is quite a long way down the order in 13th, as it looks like Stiggy is going to take the move of this race. Not a lot that Felix could do there, so Felix is into the lead. He's down to 2nd, I should say. Stiggy takes the lead of this race with 19 laps to go still. It seems like we've had so much action here, I'm going to be honest. Definitely feeling like it's a good job I've got a drink in this race, because I don't think we've seen the end of the action. And I'm not sure we've seen the end of the VSCs and the safety cars. Now that it's dried out, these drivers, now that there's been a safety car period, they might have a bit of spare fuel, so it might get a bit tasty later on in the race. Harley in 9th has just dropped from the back of Jamie ever so slightly. Penalties. If there's a late safety car, as we've got a yellow flag, and that, oh my word. Jimmy sort of getting stuck in the wall there. Kind of. Thankfully, he's got 3. Thankfully, he didn't shake his front left tyre off, but there was quite a lot of vibration going on there for Jimmy, definitely. That's not what you want. It was more like a jigger pick than a Formula 1 car in that wall, trying to get through the concrete barrier, but Jimmy's got some front wing damage. He's down in 11th. You can get a set of mediums from this point in the race, if you so wish to, and I think they would be the better tyre than the hards, as long as you can manage them ever so slightly. But Jimmy, another front wing change for him. He's going to be dropping quite a bit down the order. We might be seeing a change for the lead of the race again. Felix all over the back of Stiggy. These have now pulled away from Phelps. Not able to... Well, is he actually going to go all the way around the outside of 1, down the inside into 2? That'll be a fantastic move if he can pull it off. And he has done so. What a move from Felix. In fact, they're still battling side by side. Sorry, into turn 3 and 4. Has got that position done. Jonathan spins coming out of the hairpin, so he's now down the order. And that 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane was the final nail in the coffin for Jimmy's race. He retires. We're down to 5th. We're down to 14 runners. You could well be, you finish this race, you get yourself a point. It might well be worth carrying on for those that are on the hard tyres at this moment in time. Felix is back into the leaders race. Sticky in 2nd. Dende gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. We're down to 13 runners all of a sudden here, as Josh gets a 3-second time penalty. And Phelps is catching back up on these soft tyres slightly. They'll be feeling second best now. Stretch them until lap 20, put on the mediums, and then see what you can gain before everyone else comes in for their soft tyres. Could well be a strategy. Might start coming under pressure from Aero Specialist. Stiggy thinks about the move into the Wall of Champions chicane, decides better of it. Not the best exit through turn number 14. I don't think it's going to be close enough to have a go at Felix here, so has to just stay behind for another lap. Specialist was close enough. Down the inside he goes, almost gets onto the grass, just keeps a couple of wheels though on the racetrack. So an aggressive move, but a perfectly legitimate move from the McLaren driver. And I said he had half a chance of a podium. He's only got, well, he has got 6 seconds of penalties, but got less than Sticky, and he's up into 3rd place. Could McLaren get their first podium of the season from Specialist? Vonnie's the only driver to get them podiums so far. Davey, another driver keeping it clean on penalties at the moment. Behind Josh, it is now only 3 out of the 13 drivers. Felix, Davey and Vonnie's. Doff your caps to them, ladies and gentlemen. All 3 of them keeping it nice and clean at this moment in time, avoiding any penalties. If they can do that until the end of the race, and I saw this in a race I commentated on earlier in the week for a different league, there was a late safety car and it caused all sorts of chaos and all sorts of changes to the driver order. Stiggy does work his way past Pax Felix, then I'm beginning to sense a theme going on here. I'm not sure that we will see him fighting back. The Red Bull driver, Phelps, comes into the pits then. Phelps into the pits. He will come out round about where Luke is then at this moment in time in the lower order of the points, but he won't have to come into the pits then. So Ace Phelps, he's got most of the points so far for AlphaTauri. He's on for another point score here, and that will be the first time this season he's got points in consecutive races as Black Phoenix. I think you're right. I think some of the drivers might be worth calming down and realising that there's still 16 laps to go. Anything can happen. You don't want to be chucking in some very aggressive moves, damaging your car, and possibly earning yourself a penalty here. So Felix close to the back of Stiggy. Davey still close to the back of Josh. Tries to go down the inside there. Nothing doing. Dende just leaving the section there. So Davey just hanging on the back of Josh at this moment in time. I think, can he get it close enough through here? He's got that pit symbol on. He will not be coming into the pits this early. He will be stretching these mediums out to go for a set of soft tyres. I am certain. Just doesn't look like, well, I say that, it looks like he is getting very close. ERS and DRS on for the Williams driver. Is he going to go for one? Down the inside into the chicane here for the final corner. Yes, he does. In fact, he cuts over the chicane there, and Josh decided to come into the pit, so he's coming in very early of that set of mediums, going for an aggressive undercut, but I think you can get the softs to the end of the race. From round about lap 10, well, with around 10 laps to go, I should say. He has got front wing damage, so perhaps that just plays a part in his decision. Should come out fairly close to where Phelps was then, I'd imagine. Perhaps just a bit behind, obviously, after you consider that he has had that front wing change. So Josh still comes out in the points, though, and that frees Davey to push himself further up the order. Yellow flag in sector 3. That is Jay Tyler. Jack with some big front wing damage. It has been a nightmare race for him in the Mercedes ever since that incident early on with Stibber. Don't think it's going to be any points for Jack, and I think that's probably the end of his title ambitions. Yellow flag in sector 2. That'll be Luke, who I think's had a spin, and another driver with some heavy front wing damage. Pit now, get the mediums on towards the end, stay in the race, most importantly, because if we do see any retirements, you might still get yourself some points. Felix and Stiggy giving it another go. Both of these having the DRS lap after lap after lap is just going to help them extend that gap, and just going to help them relative, of course, to Ace Phelps, who has now got a set of medium tyres on, but won't be gaining too much of them. Davey comes into the pits. Now this is another one. I said earlier on it was a surprise. Jamie coming in as well. There's a lot of drivers not wanting to use the soft tyres around this track. Of course, have they got any fresh softs left after qualifying? Is the question. That might be the reason why we're seeing this. I wonder if these have got any fresh softs left, because surely if you have, it's worth staying out a bit longer. As you can see there, Davey does just come out ahead of Phelps. Surely it's worth staying out a bit longer, putting the softs on at the end of the race, and being absolutely lightning fast. Jack gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and there we go. We are down to just 12 drivers then. Jonathan's a lap down here. But I'm telling you, son, just keep on going. At the rate they're dropping, you're getting points. At the rate they're dropping, you're going to get yourself, I think, only your second points of the season. So definitely worth sticking it out there. Now that Davey and Phelps have got DRS, they might be able to help each other. 25 seconds off the lead. Probably about 7 or 8 seconds off when you see the pit stops happen for Felix and Stiggy. And that's definitely the furthest Felix has been ahead here. Still in the lead of this race then. Our championship leader, lap 23 of this race. Things carry on at the moment. He is looking very, very handy indeed. This would put him onto 86 points, with Bonnie's currently now, I should say, up in 4th position, but a long way down the order. I think 4th is the best that Bonnie's can hope for. Those top few drivers have just escaped at this moment in time. 4th for Bonnie's would give him 8 points, extending the gap to 27 points with 3 races to go. It's still doable, but it is very possible that Felix could be crowned winner next time out at the Japanese Grand Prix, where hopefully Bryn will be rejoining you guys back in his traditional F11 commentary sports. But anything can change in Formula 1, and it usually does, as Murray Walker famously said all them years ago. 13 laps to go. Felix just about trying to get rid of Stiggy at the moment. Out that DRS range, the Mercedes doing a good job to hang on all of a sudden, and now he's another one going for that undercut. Medium tyres going on to Stiggy. He will come out ahead of Vonnis then in 3rd position in plenty of free air. This is a move to try and get that first win for him out on track. Try and hold on to that podium when you consider all the penalties he's got at that moment in time. 9 seconds, 15 for Luke, but Vonnis and Davey, they're not in a bad place to sneak onto the podium. They've got some nice fresh tyres. Things could really work out well for them here. Just have to wait and see how it's going to go. Jamie and Harley, they continue their battle. Harley loses out this time, and that is Jamie up into 8th place. I think these two are going to be fighting hammer and tongs right up until the checkered flag here. There we go. Stiggy did come out in plenty of free air then in 3rd position. And Davey, he just needs to keep it calm now. Doesn't need to worry if Ace Phelps gets ahead of him, which could well happen with the DRS. He could well lose a position to Phelps because he knows because of penalties he's fine. Likewise, if Josh gets ahead of him, doesn't want to drop too far down the order. As you can see how hard Stiggy is pushing by that famous 3-second time penalty multiple warnings message, which is probably going to be ingrained into my television by the end of this, and probably by the end of F1, of course, on Monday. Make sure to check that out with myself and Dan Field, taking you through the action from the F1 Championship at 8 PM. Another penalty for Jonathan, a lap down at the moment. Now the lap car rules have changed. You've got a sector to get out of the way unless you are clearly faster than the other drivers. If you don't get out of the way, you will get yourself a time penalty, of course, for interfering with the race. As if anything, looks like Phelps is just slightly dropping off the back of Davey at this moment in time. Lap 25 of this race then. Felix and Specialist and Vonnis. That says to me, the fact that they've all stayed out, they haven't made a second pit stop. Only one stop is compulsory in wet conditions, theoretically. If you can get the tyres to last one full stop, you don't have to make, well, a full stint. You don't have to make that final pit stop. You can stay out on a set of the full wet tyres, and I've seen it done the entire race, but they will be pitting again. They will be putting the soft tyres on, of course, and they'll be looking very fast at the end of this race. Stiggy will take the lead out on track, but Felix and Eva are going to be looking fantastic as Jonathan has another spin. It completely knocks his front wing off, so just come into the pits and put the soft tyres on. You never know. Please, 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 don't be tired and don't put us down to 11 runners, Jonathan. I implore you. There we go. Eva into the pits then. Soft tyres for him. 10 laps to go. Felix decides to stay out another lap, so Stiggy will be in the net lead of this race if you discount penalties. When you add on penalties and the tyre delta between the mediums and the softs, I don't think there's going to be a lot he can do, even though he does set the fastest lap of the race. Vonnis, he's going to come out fairly close to his teammate here. I think his teammate's going to come out right in this action here. That's going to be crucial for him. Just comes out ahead of Vonnis, who is now starting to give Davey, Phelps and Josh a bit of a drag along. So Davey, Phelps and Josh, the battle that we're going to see towards the end. Vonnis, when he pits, he's going to come out round about behind Harley at the moment, quite a long way ahead of Riker in what would be 9th position at this moment in time. And I think he's going to lose a position here. Davey's just got so much more grip on those medium tyres. Don't see too many straightforward DRS passes into turn 8 and 9. But there is one of them, and the Williams putting on a very fantastic performance at this moment in time. Davey in the Williams, very mature, no penalties from him. He's not finished higher than 4th so far this season. He's in 4th at the moment. He's probably too far behind to gain anything on penalties, if I'm being truthful with you. But you never know. You never know. You might just be able to get something in this race and might just get that first podium of the season. Our race leader, our championship leader, has come into the pits and will come out a long way ahead of Specialist. He's behind Stiggy. All he has to do, though, is catch up with him. Doesn't even have to pass him. When you consider the 12 seconds of penalties, just has to stay with him, and he will take a 5th victory from 7 races this season. Felix won more like Sebastian Vettel at this moment in time, more like the annoying German finger that we all remember in 2010, 2011, 2012 and 2013. A Red Bull looking like it's dominating here in F11. All he's got to do is keep it tidy, and he's got himself one hand on the championship trophy. Jamie and Harley going at it tooth and nail, coming through turn number 6 and 7 there. Jamie's just got the DRS, but not an ideal exit, so these are in 8th and 9th. Bonnie's might be able to catch up to these at the end of the race on a set of the soft tyre. I don't know if he's trying to stretch them out just a bit longer. Those mediums can probably, theoretically, last until the end. You'll be in big danger of getting a puncture, and I don't think you'd really want to when you consider the pace difference. So Bonnie's, I think, might be coming in. We've had a spinner, and that is Luke Flano. Spins it round, gets it back going again. Front wing damage. He'll be able to carry on with that front wing change. Might be able to set a fastest lap, and you never know. There's another retirement. You might get yourself that bonus point. Jamie down the inside then before we get to the finish line. Into lap number 28 for these drivers. Just got that bit of an annoying rev glitch, unfortunately, so we'll change out of that camera. But Jamie up into 8th, and the longer Vonnie's goes, the more I think he's going to try and just defend from these drivers. But it's a perfectly legitimate tactic, I've got to say. You're just going to be like driving on chewing gum at the end of the race. It's going to be very slippy and very slidey, and not going to be very nice for you, I don't think. Vonnie's in 5th place. Every position he loses, he's lost a lot of time to Davies, so can't finish ahead of him. If the race finished now, I think he would actually finish in 5th place. He'd just miss out on overtaking Stiggy and Aero on penalties, so needs to be careful, needs to watch out that some of these behind him don't get ahead of him, especially Josh with that 3-second time penalty only. He could well pull that gap out, and there we go. Josh absolutely streaking past up into 5th place. Will Phelps get the position done as well. Felix 109.986, fastest lap of the race. A bonus point will make him look very good indeed. Vonnie's, that exit does not make him look very good. And there we go, Ace Phelps straight forward, streaking ahead up into 6th place. Jamie and Harley going at it every single lap. I wish I could just keep the camera on these drivers. Jamie now with a bit of front wing damage, that might slow him down. He is up, well, Harley goes up into 8th, Jamie down into 9th position. 3 seconds more penalties for Jamie as well, plus front wing damage. He's going to have a very tough job, I think, trying to just stick with the action here. But lap 29 of the race, Stiggy in the lead, but 2.5 seconds behind him is Felix on the faster tyres, and with 12 seconds of penalties, I don't think there's a lot Stiggy can do, stopping Felix, getting this inevitable march to a 5th victory. And you can see how much Vonnie's is starting to struggle. He's just about, I think, stayed within DRS range of Phelps, but already Josh has pulled out 3 seconds on him. I'm not sure this stopping out on the mediums was the right idea. He'd have surely just been better coming in probably 5 laps ago, putting on a set of soft tyres. Yes, he'd have been behind Harley and Jamie, but he'd have streaked up to the back of them, probably overtaken them. Probably got himself to a similar position where he is now. Yellow flag in sector 1. That is big news. Stiggy, broken front wing, loses it coming out of turn 4. Huge front wing damage for him, and that is any chance of him clinching a podium out of the window. Can come into the pits, gets a set of softs on. He'll still be comfortably in the points and might be able to get a fastest lap, but drama with 6 laps to go. Stiggy, race leader, out on track, into the wall, broken front wing. Is he going to get in the way of Davey here? Davey just able to get ahead of him. He's on for a fantastic result here. Here's Davey. He's currently 6 seconds, basically, behind Specialist, who has 9 seconds off penalties. Specialist is on the faster tyres. If he can gain 3 seconds on the next few laps, he will get a 2nd position and get himself his first podium of the season and the first 2nd place. But if not, Davey will be the man finishing in 2nd. We've had a spinner. I think that's Jonathan again coming out of turn 9. Fantastic Codemasters camera angle there of the rear of the car. And he's overheating these softs. This is not ideal for him. Stiggy into the pits then. Another front wing change. I think this is going to be his third pit stop of the race for Stiggy then. Onto a set of the soft tyres. He heads out once more. Will still come out ahead of Riker. And will obviously streak up the field on those tyres. So we'll still get the fastest lap point no matter what happens. Jonathan has absolutely cooked those rears. All of a sudden, it's looking like an even more straightforward race now for Felix 1. 4.2 seconds ahead of Aero Specialist. 10.4 seconds ahead of the next driver who's got no penalties. Stroke it home. Don't do a Nitro Mansell and get cocky at the end of the 91 Canadian Grand Prix and make a mistake. Thankfully, you can't go too slow in these cars and they will not stall. So that's not something Felix has to worry about. He's not had a lot to worry about really since that safety car period earlier on. He has just cruised it nice and easy. Seems to have got the strategy bang on, hasn't worried. And yeah, Felix, this is why he's winning the championship at the moment. I did see a driver taking 4 wins in the first 6 races. I was thinking they have to be something special. They're going to be looking very good indeed. And you've got to say, if he was able to do Sundays next time around, probably someone to see moving up the order on F1 2021, season 29, of course. When the new game comes out, we'll have to wait and see about that. Davies pulled away from Josh ever so slightly then. Ace Phelps seems to have dropped a long way off the back of these drivers. Actually, he wasn't too far off the back of Davies, so has he made a mistake? Doesn't seem to have any damage, but yeah, Phelps has dropped quite a long way off these. Vonnies is now starting to fall into the clutches of Harley and Jamie, and he's going to be going so slow in these final few laps of this race that we might see Harley make his way past him. Jamie as well. When you consider the penalties, I don't think they're going to be able to do a lot, but Vonnies, he just needs to keep it calm now and see if he can hang on to 6th place after any penalties. He should be able to do that as long as he doesn't pick up a puncture, which would really, again for him, really be the nail in the coffin of his championship chances. Everything is just falling into Felix's lap at this moment in time with 3 laps to go. Gap between Specialist and Davey, 6.7 seconds. So Davey looks like he's going to be getting 2nd position at this moment in time. Harley with the DRS streaks past Vonnies. Harley's only got 1 point so far this season, and that was last time out at the French Grand Prix. So he looks as though he's gaining his way up the order. French-speaking racers seem to be being kind to him at the moment. Jamie, now he's going to be the next car to try and catch up to the back of that McLaren, who I imagine his rears, his fronts, his everything, feeling very shot at this moment in time. The action is slowly calming down here as Stiggy sets the fastest lap of the race. I think we just saw Phelps have a mini slide there coming through turn 3 and 4, but was able to hold onto it. Stiggy with the fastest lap of the race will pick up a few points for Mercedes. What looked like a fantastic race. 1 and 3 in qualifying. 1 and 3 for the Mercedes. They are now a long, long way, well, 9th and out of this race. 2 points at best, not what they would have been expected, as Davey just pulls it a bit wide there. That's going to give Josh a chance to go for the overtake. If I was Davey, I wouldn't defend this too much. If Josh sends one up the inside, because you've got no penalties, and he has, so you just need to stay within contact of him. That is another spin, I think, for Jonathan on this occasion. Josh not with a lot of ERS, so that's just holding him back slightly. As Davey, he'll be clipping a bit later on, so just holding on to that 3rd on track. I think he wants to earn this podium out on track. He's just hanging inside 2 seconds of aero as well with 2 laps to go, so it looks like a 2nd place is going to be on for him. Vonnie's still ahead of Jamie. Jamie's starting to catch up. Luke gets himself a penalty. It's probably now too late for these drivers to get. Luke on 24 seconds. 2 more. He's going to have to go some to get 6 warnings, I admit, in the next 2 laps, but I've seen it done. We saw 3 warnings on the first lap of the race for Jack, and if Luke does that, he will be disqualified from the race. Would be a bit of a ignominious end to his proceedings, unfortunately. He's just been on his own in this stint. It sort of didn't look fantastic for him in qualifying earlier on. He validated quite a few laps early on, but nothing wrong with his race pace. Just right place, right time, maybe with some of the safety car decisions. He's done everything right, though. He has earned 9 seconds of penalties, which looks as though it's going to cost him a 2nd position, but 3rd place is 10 points. He's only had 10 points from the 6 races so far this season. He can't complain too much. We are on to the final lap of this race, and Josh all over the back of Davey. Harley all over the back of Ace Phelps. So we are still going to see some more moves around the order here. Don't think they're going to change too much for the final positions. The one that isn't going to change is this one. All Felix has to do is keep it nice and calm through the final 6 corners of this track. 8 and 9 taken absolutely fantastically. Staying off the curves, not pushing it too hard, not using a lot of ERS out of the corners where you don't need to try and avoid wheel spinning. Short shifting as well, waiting for the traction to come in. It has been a textbook performance from our championship leader. Took the lead early on, just got himself away as Luke, I think, deciding there, you know what, I do not want to set another lap of this race. Felix gets his first time penalty, slightly wants his copybook, but it's a 5th victory this season for Felix. Surely nothing is stopping him taking the championship now. A first podium of the season for Aero Specialist. Has David stayed close enough? It's going to be close on the line, but I think he's just done enough to take 2nd position. Josh finishes in 4th. Harley gets ahead of Ace Phelps on the line, but Phelps will take that position in the end. And Jamie also passing Bonnie, so a 5th for Phelps from last place. Fantastic job from him. Harley in 6th, Jamie in 7th. Bonnie's actually, I should say, he jumps up into 5th position, taking that by less than a 10th of a second. So net championship lead now all of a sudden 16 points versus the 6 for Bonnie. 29 points for Felix. He is in the championship. Stiggy rounds out the points finishes, I think, in 10th position in the end there. But it is Bonnie's in 5th, and Felix takes the victory there. Ace Phelps celebrating driver of the day. I imagine he's very happy with that performance. Another good job for him, matching, well, just finishing actually behind in the end with that last minute move up from Bonnie's. But Felix, familiar sight here in F11. Felix takes the victory. 2 newbies on the podium alongside him, though, there in Davey and Aero Specialist. So, the provisional results before any stewards' inquiries, and trust me, there's going to be some. Felix takes the win. Davey and Aero rounding out the podium. Josh, good result for him to finish in 4th place. He's one of 3 successive podiums, though, has come to an end. Vonnie's in 5th, Phelps in 6th, Harley 7th, Jamie taking 8th place. Stiggy did just hold on to 9th in the end with the fastest lap. Riker finishing in 10th, going that 1 lap longer on the intermediate tyres really cost him in the end. Luke and Jonathan were the lapped cars. Jay Tyler had that incident with the other Renault earlier on, and big damage. Many incidents in this race. I'm sure, like I said, we will be seeing some stewards' inquiries, and that's why we saw so many retirements. Tyler, Dende, Jimmy Allen, Storm, James Dovey and Stever were our retirements. Plenty to go on in that race, plenty to digest, I think, as well. I think it's fair to say, from that Grand Prix. Lots of action. Let's see if we can get any of our we're going to give it a try. Don't know if they normally do interviews in F11, but we're going to try and get some of our drivers in, see if any of them do want to talk about that race, see if we can talk to any of those further up the order as well, because it was an absolutely fantastic performance, obviously, from Felix getting that victory. Davey and Aero getting their first podiums of the season as well. Lots to going on. See how everyone coped with the tyre changes, with the incidents, what setups they want for. Then we've got a lot to digest in that race. Feel free to fire across any questions as well for anyone that is in the chat that you would like to ask our top 3 as we try to get them into the interview room. But yeah, quite a chaotic race. Wet dry races usually are, I think it's fair to say, there's usually quite a few incidents in wet dry races. And this one definitely did not disappoint. Started pretty much straight away. We saw a few incidents early on in the race, didn't we? Broken front wings on lap 1. Not exactly ideal to get those broken wings, I think, on the first lap of the race. And then the big one, Stuber and Jack. Massive collision between those drivers. As we saw, ended up retiring the race for the Renault. Pretty much ruined both of the Mercedes drivers' races, almost. In the end, Stiggy was able to catch up. Where would he have been if it wasn't for that incident at the end. Could he have held on to a podium? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it was definitely a shame for him that he couldn't hold on to that in the end, as we always expected. Keeping it clean is what you've got to do around Canada. We said track limit penalties would play a big part in it, and that is what happened. We are going to drag some of our drivers in then for some interviews, and we're going to start. We'll start with the man who finished in third position, then getting his first podium of the season. It is going to be Aero Specialist, first podium of the season for yourself. You must feel delighted with how that went. Aero, just confirming you can hear me. We seem to be having a few problems with Aero, so we'll drag Davey in then. Davey, can you hear me? Hiya, Dave. Congratulations on your first podium of the season. What a race to get it in. Yeah, keeping it clean, like you said, was important. Is that something you'd practiced on in the lead up to the race, knowing how many track limits penalties that you would inevitably see around Canada, thinking you could gain some places on that? I think, just trying to do some quick maths, I think that result might have moved you up to fourth in the championship. Do you see yourself maybe getting on the podium again in the final three races?
Track for me, I got on the podium there last season. It was a fully wet race though, so a little bit different. What was the other two? Baku and Brazil. Yeah. I mean, hopefully. I know there's quite a few guys that are probably faster than me, but that's me. I've got the points in every race, so I know that if I can keep it clean, I'll get in the points. It's just wait to see. I think how many finished tonight? Was it 13 or 12 maybe?
I think it was 12 in the end.
Yeah, pretty mental. So yeah, it was all about keeping it clean and getting a result. And I think if I do the same in Suzuka, there's usually quite a few people crashing out there and some penalties as well there with the Degnas especially. So hopefully. Yeah,
well, we'll have to wait and see. Congratulations on your podium, and I'll let you head off.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
We're going to give a second attempt at trying to see if Aero Specialist. Aero, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Congratulations as well. Your first podium of the season, third position. You must be delighted.
Yeah, very, very happy with that race. Don't really know how I ended up there, but we held it together anyway.
You did hold it together. Tell us about the qualifying session, because you left it quite late to set a lap. You must have been pretty nervous on that final one.
Yeah, I suppose my first run was invalidated, and it was actually a bit faster, so it was enough for 1:08.4. I had invalidated, so I sort of knew I had pace. Then just trying to hold myself together to get a lap in to get somewhere on the grid.
And what are your objectives now for the rest of the season? A bit like David, do you think you could end up on the podium again in the final three races?
Don't know. There's a lot of quick guys there, but we'll see. Usually go quite well around Brazil and Japan. Not a big fan of Baku, so we'll see about Japan and Brazil, and we'll see how we go.
Yeah, that's all you can do. But congratulations as well. First podium of the season. I'll let you head off.
Thanks, mate.
And now we're going to bring in someone who's definitely not his first podium of the season. A man who's well versed to being on the podium. 5 victories out of 7 races. It is Felix. There was all sorts of chaos happening behind you, but you just seem to come through it absolutely fantastically.
Yeah, I think I got a bit lucky. First with the safety car, I had some wing damage, and then the VSC riders came in for dry tires. I wanted to change my wing. I thought I was going to come out way behind the other guys, and went on a gamble to make an early pit stop to try and get some of that back, perhaps. And yeah, worked out perfectly with the VSC, losing almost no time, then coming out way in front of the guys who I was worried about. Mostly Jay Tyler, because I think he was right behind me before I made my pit stop, or before he made his pit stop during the safety car. And yeah, that was a great battle with Stiggy later on, who I don't actually know what his strategy was, but he ended up in a fight with me for first. But yeah, because of his penalties, I didn't really have to take too many risks, and I could just stay consistent, really.
Yeah, consistency definitely helped you, and only getting one penalty as well. One of the few drivers, I think, to pick up less than 3 or even 4 penalties. 29 points ahead, I believe it is now. 3 races to go. You've got a chance of winning the championship next time out at Suzuka. You must be feeling pretty confident.
I haven't really been doing the maths yet, but is it really 29 points? I mean, yeah, I think with recent form, I definitely have a good chance at taking it to Suzuka. And if I don't take it there, I think well, it's not over just yet, but I think it's quite obvious that I am the big favorite here, and probably take it either at Suzuka or next week after that at I think it's Baku.
Yeah, it's Suzuka,
So, yeah.
Baku, and Brazil the final 3.
Well, hopefully I take it before Brazil, because that's a terrible track for me.
We'll have to see. And does that mean you approach the races any differently, knowing that you're close to the title, or do you just keep doing what you're doing now, which is obviously working?
Yeah, don't change running system, I guess. It's all working just fine. Why change anything?
I think that's a fantastic way to end the interview on. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Congratulations again, Felix. 5th victory of the season. I'll let you head off and celebrate.
Alright, thank you.
That is pretty much it then for this F11 stream. Hope everyone has enjoyed it. Apologies for the slight audio issues during David's interview, but I think we got them fixed during the end. If you want some more PSGL action, you can check out the mid-tiers F8 to F10 on the Sunday. The top 7 tiers with myself and Daniel Field taking you through the F1 action next Monday at 8 PM. And of course, F11, F12, and the top PC tier with George Morgan, who's popped his way into the chat here. Hope you enjoyed the Bahrain short race, because I tell you what, that track is absolutely chaos and needs to be on every league racing season ever. After commentating on some fantastic races around then, you can check out George and Jack with the PC race 7 PM next Thursday. F12 is also on 7 PM next Thursday, and then the F1, F11 even, is back at 8 PM next Thursday. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Thanks to the top 3 for joining me in the interviews. Bryn will be back in this time slot next week. I believe he might have a new co-coms partner as well. We'll have to wait and see how that one turns out. But thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you've not already. It helps to support the channel, of course. And see you next time around for some more PSGL action. Goodbye.